I'm going to finish by reading a story from my dad's memoir, Stuart Briscoe, called Flowing Streams. It's a fun read because he had a very interesting life. The very first chapter, the very first page, actually talks about meeting a woman in Ireland about the same time that the Philomena story was happening in Ireland. Pretty much the same time. Totally different perspective. Listen. You love prostitutes, don't you? I know you do, I can tell. That's the first sentence in my dad's memoir. She stood in the crowded church foyer, no more than 5 feet tall. Her fur-collared coat was a somber black, her matching hat firmly placed on gray hair, her umbrella grasped in gloved hands. The elderly woman was probably in her early 80s, but she fixed me with a bright eye and spoke clearly in a voice that penetrated the after-church conversations happening all around us. She had approached me with determination, her umbrella pecking the hardwood floor as I preached in her staid Baptist church on the outskirts of Belfast in Northern Ireland. You need to be our new pastor, she announced without preamble. Apparently, my sermon had met with her approval, which I gathered was more than could be said for the existing resident pastor. When I pointed out the reverend gentleman already in service to her community, she replied with force, "He's no good. And if you will come, we'll get rid of him." Embarrassed, I looked at the people surrounding me, and they showed no signs of having heard her pronouncement, although given her volume, I assumed they were either all deaf or they chose to ignore her. I breathed a silent prayer for the unsuspecting pastor. They don't like me in this church, she added, noting my glance around the room. To reinforce the point, she poked me in the ribs with her umbrella. I'm sure they love you, I responded, guardedly, wincing. No, they don't. She dug the umbrella into me again to reinforce her point. You see, I work among the prostitutes in this town. Dear girls, I bring them to church, and these stuffy people don't like it. If the girls sit in the same pew, they move away. But I bring them anyway, and they don't like that, and they don't like me either. Her pale, creased face developed a flush of pink. I hurriedly revised my initial evaluation of this woman, who reminded me of a feisty blackbird somehow. This was an extraordinary woman. She went on. I know you wouldn't be like that. You love prostitutes, don't you? I know you do, I can tell. Not wishing to go down that road, I didn't answer. The umbrella was once again forcibly applied, and she said, don't you see, we need a pastor who understands that there is a world to reach. We need someone to shake us out of our complacency, our lethargy, sitting here in our pews looking down our noses at other people. You understand that, don't you? You must come and be our pastor. I'll see that we get rid of the other guy if you'll come. My dad let her know that that simply wasn't going to happen. And then he said, by the way, you didn't tell me your name. She said, my name is Miss Stewart Watt. Are you Miss Ava Stewart Watt? My dad asked. No, she replied. I'm dear Ava's sister. Ava passed away. Are you the sister who traveled with Ava through the Belgian Congo? Oh, yes, she said. Her family, the Stewart Watt family, had taken Christ to the pygmies in the Belgian Congo. He said, let me tell you a story. I heard about a man who was reading a book titled In the Heart of Savagedom, which tells the story of you and your sister, Ava Stewart Watt. Yes, she interrupted eagerly. It tells some of the stories of our ministry in the Congo. This man, I went on, was reading the book aloud to his wife, who was about to deliver their firstborn child. She was so excited about your story and so moved by your courage and devotion that he said to his wife, if this baby is a boy, his name is Stuart. How nice, she replied politely, but with very little enthusiasm. I explained further, I was that baby. My name is Stuart. My father named me after you and your sister and your family, the Stewart Watt family. It took a moment to register, but then she positively shouted, well, then you'll have to be our pastor, won't you? That's a moving story to me on a number of levels. My name is Peter Allen Stewart Briscoe. I'm named after her too. And that name continues on through our family, and it's precious to us because that mindset, that Jesus mindset, that the church has to stop looking down our noses at people and love rule breakers, because that's what Jesus came to do. It's a part of my heritage, it's a part of our heritage because Christ is in us, and this is why he came. Bow your head, let me pray for you. Lord, I really believe that if the church would be willing to allow you to express yourself through us in the same way you did in the Gospels, that we'd regain our voice with our culture. Because who doesn't want to be loved? Everyone wants to be loved. If they could truly know, if they could truly believe that we're not a bunch of judgmental, cruel people who just want to hit them over the head with something, that we have Jesus, who is the greatest lover of mankind that ever lived, living inside us, and that we just want to love them. I want to point them to the one who can radically transform their lives. I think then maybe we could start to see the church be who she's supposed to be. And so that's my prayer. And we can't pray for everyone, but we can pray for us. We can be available to be used this way this week. Lord, I'm going to pray very specifically that every single one of us would find ourselves in a conversation with a rule breaker this week that maybe historically we would have run away from. And your Spirit would prompt us and remind us, you know what? Even if you have to break a little man-made rule to get close to this person, go for it. And that you would give us the permission to love as you did in this text. And I can't wait to hear what happens as we step into people's lives. Thank you for this time in your word. And now, Lord, as we just quiet our hearts with a response song sung over us, I pray that we would continue in this attitude of prayer.